How to do business planning within Clarity Now. This video is great. We're going to go over the economic model, the budget model, and the lead gen model, all within Clarity Now, how they work together, how they play off of each other, and really how to go deep in your business planning to make sure that you don't just have a dream or a goal, but you actually have a plan and you're using Clarity Now to execute that plan. To create your economic model. This is, again, very simple, very straightforward. You can click on any year that you like. We're in 2024 at the time of this recording, so it's automatically selected for 2024. Click on Create Economic Model. On every single one of these slides, you can click on Walk Me Through This, and this will pop up where it can show you a video for every single question within the system. It explains it, and there's a video for that specific question. So there's no reason you should get stuck on this. Now, one thing to note again is that this is not set in stone. You can change these numbers, so don't get too caught up in what these numbers are if you're unsure. There's three statuses to choose from. I own a team, meaning I have additional salespeople. I'm a rainmaker. I'm on a team, which is a great status. So your team members now can have their own portal with their own profitability. Or I'm an individual agent. Let's say that I own a team. The very first question, guys, is what do you want to net? You can change this. Don't get caught up on this. I'm going to say I want to net $300,000. And my average sales price is $275 where I live. And the average commission is 2.75%. Now, note, we already have a percentage in here, so you don't need to put a percentage sign. And don't put 6%. Don't put one mistake people do is they'll put 0.025 because we're used to typing it into a calculator. Right. And you'll notice here that your average commission is only $68 if that's the case. So put in the regular commission, 2.75%. My average commission check is $75.62. Listing information. If you don't know these answers, hover over the question mark and just put what is here. Don't get too caught up on this. What percentage of listing appointments that you go on will you get signed? Well, most of my stuff is fear-based. I'm going to say 85%. What percentage of listings that you take will result in a closing? I'm going to say 85%. And what percentage of my total overall business comes from listings? I'm going to say I'm mainly buyer focused, which most of you probably are. I'm going to put 40% listing based. Click on buyer information. Now it's going to be the same questions, but on the buy side. What percentage of buyer appointments that you go on will you get signed? If you don't know, just click on the question mark and type it in. I'm going to take that advice and say 70 and 70. Next, estimate your annual expenses. On average, how much do you spend per month on your business? So let's say, again, I'm a rainmaker. I have an admin. We already determined that. I have my listing photography. I have a coach. I have an office space. I'm going to say I spend somewhere around $13,000 every month to operate my business, which is approximately $156,000 a year. Okay, cost of sale. This first question is really important. Is there a maximum amount that you pay your broker? So for some companies, that would be called a cap. If you have a cap or if you have a maximum amount, what is that amount? Let's say that I do, and I spend $15,000 per year goes to my market center or goes to my broker. Does your company also have a franchise fee in addition to your broker split? Let's say the answer for me is yes, and that is an additional $3,000. If that's not the case for you, click no and say, no, there's not a cap. There's not a maximum amount. The question now will be, what percentage of every check goes to your broker? And average it out if yours is on a tier. So you could go ahead and say that on average, 15% of every single check goes to my broker. Again, I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm on a capping system and I have a $15,000 cap and a $3,000 franchise fee. Now, I selected that I'm a rainmaker. This screen right here is going to look different depending upon what you picked. Because I'm a rainmaker, it's asking me how many listings and how many buyers am I personally going to sell. Now, note what this is really asking is how many sales will there be no split paid on? So for most people that are rainmakers, all their revenue goes to the company and the owner, the rainmaker, makes the profitability of the business. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you guys can run your team, so that may not be true for all of you. If you do run a team where I'm the rainmaker, I sell a house, but I charge myself the same split as all of my agents, then that effectively means that there's not a single sale that I make where there's no split paid because I'm charging myself a split on every sale. Let's say in this case, I don't do that. I do it the way that most agents do who are rainmakers. I don't make a split. All the money goes to my company, and I'm going to sell 30 listings, and maybe I'll do 6 buyers. What this is saying is, as a rainmaker, I'm signing up to sell 36 homes, but the rest has to come from my team. Now the question is, on average, what percentage do you pay your team members on listing sales? I'll say on average 35%. And on average, what do you pay your team on buyer sales? I'll put 50. Now, again, if you picked you're an individual agent, you won't even see this screen because there's nothing else. There's no other cost of sales and splits to worry about. If you're on a team, you won't see this question. You will see these questions, but it'll be worded differently. It will say, what is your split that you receive on a listing sale? And what is your split that you receive on a buyer sale on average? So this one page will look different depending upon the status that you selected. Go ahead and click next. Okay. Do you have an ISA department? Let's say that I don't. If you did, it would say what percentage of your total sales or ISA is going to get paid on. And on average, what percentage do they get paid on each closing? Again, I'm going to say that I don't. All right, how many referral fees do you intend on paying out? This includes lead sources too. I'm going to say I'll maybe do 4 referral fees for the year, and on average, I pay out 25%. Next. Do you pay a transaction fee to an admin on each closed listing? Let's say that I do. I have my admin, but and I pay her $100 bonus for every single transaction that she turns into a closing. I do that both on the listing side and the buyer side. Another way to think about this question is, are there any per transaction fees that occur? So if your broker or your market center charges a fee for every time you have a closing, that would all go in here. So it doesn't have to be exclusive to an admin. Is there any per transaction cost on the listing side and the buy side that you incur? This last question here is, what is the additional annual cost of sale? This is an annual number. What this really is, guys, is for the whole year, how much do you want to put in the bucket for you giving away your commission at the end of a transaction to get it to close? So an example that would be buyer and seller are arguing at the end of the transaction over the refrigerator not working. And you say, guys, I'll go ahead and just pay for a new refrigerator, just close. Right? For some of you, you'll say, I never do that. It's 0. For some of you say, I do that all the time. Let's put $5,000. Let's say I do that a couple times a year. I'm going to put $1,500 for the whole year. Okay. Seasonality is the last step. It's going to be auto set for you at 20, 30, 30, and 20. This is the percentage of your closings that happen during each quarter, during these months. If yours is different, change it. You can edit all this later. I'm going to leave it just as is, and I'm going to hit submit. All right, and that's it. My economic model is complete. So now I can see that if I want to net $300,000 with the metrics that we just put in together, I need to do 25.3 million for just short of 700,000 in GCI. It's going to be 92 closed units, which is 37 listing sales and 55 buyer sales. Remember, I signed up to do 30 listings and 6 buyers myself, which means the math shakes out that my team members need to do 7 listings and 49 buyers. So now I know what I need to go recruit to. My cost of sale is $240,000. That's my cap, my franchise fee, my agent compensation, my referral fees, my admin bonuses. I have almost a 34.5% cost of sale. 456 is my gross profit. I'm going to spend 156 on the business. That gets me back to my $300,000 net. My business will be 43% profitable. And based on the conversion ratios that I put in, here's the appointments that I will need to go on to ultimately sell the homes that the math shakes out. So when I look at this, I can say, perfect, that looks doable. Or I can say, I think we can do more than 92 sales. I think my team members will do more than 7 listings and 49 buyers. If that's the case for you, then great. Go ahead and click edit on the top right, and let's bump up this profit goal. Let's make that $400,000 and see how the math changes. I'm not going to change anything else. I'm going to keep everything else the exact same. I'm going to keep my production the same. I'm not changing anything but my profit goal. Clicking all the way through. And now to net $400,000, it's 116 units, and I'll need to have 16 listing sales and 64 buyer sales from my team. Let's say for me, that looks a lot better. I think we can do $32 million. I think we could do around 120 sales. That means my net profit goal is going to be somewhere around $400,000. Okay, so now we have set up your business information. We've done your team members, we've done your users, and we got your economic model set up. You're officially in the system. If you click on dashboard, you're set up. All you need now is to put data in the system for all the reporting to work. All right, so here's an example of the budget model. Now, you'll notice here that whatever you put in your annual expenses for that corresponding year will show up here. So again, this is a demo account, so don't pay too much attention to the numbers. But in 2024, my economic model said that I would spend $84,000 on my business. In 2023, again, demo account, so don't pay attention to it. I said I would spend $600,000. So in my budget model, if I go to 2023, you see that carried over. So 45% of my total revenue is designed to go towards my budget model according to my business plan in this case. Let's dive into your business planning budget model. Now, first thing you'll notice is that whatever you put in the economic model as what your annual expenses will be and the percentage of revenue that goes towards your expenses is going to show up here in the budget model for that corresponding year. So this will always match up. So in this business plan, and again, this is a demo account here. In this business plan, I said I would spend $600,000 on my business, which represents about 45% of my total revenue. Now, anywhere on the platform, you can click walk me through this. The same thing is true in the budget model. Click walk me through this, and it will take you a tutorial on how to use this. And yet, here's an example. So as you're typing this in, you're going to select the P&L category that you choose. So say I'm entering my compensation, and I'm going to type in the description of what the compensation is. Note that we created the ability to customize this text with bullet points and italics and bold lettering, so you can really dive deep in your explanation if you choose to. Look over here where I put start a farming campaign in April. It should go to 2,000 homes for 79 cents per mailer and so forth. So you can get really detailed here. What is the monthly expense and what is the annual expense? We put monthly and annual because not every monthly expense is times 12. Just like I mentioned up here, I'm going to be starting that campaign in April. So what is the monthly expense? And then do the math for the annual expense if you're going to be starting something mid-year. As you type everything in, it will show up right here in your breakdown of expenses. So I can see how much I'm spending towards closing gifts monthly and annually, on Zoom, on training, on payroll, team pictures, etc. So dive into all of your expenses, and down below it's going to total it up for you for what percentage of your GCI is going towards each P&L category and what the total annual expenses is for that category. The best way to do this, guys, is to look at your bank statements from the previous year or the previous months if you have to, and look at every single expense that you had in that bank statement and make sure that's represented somewhere in your budget model if that expense is going to hold true. People forget about legal costs, contract labor. Maybe they don't think about the number of staging or photography they'll be doing for the number of listings they'll be taking. So in budget model, it's always best to dive deep, take your time, get as detailed as you want. And at the end of this, you'll see what is the total annual expense that you came up with. And then you can compare that to what your business plan said. Now, hopefully, the annual expense that you came up with after typing everything in is pretty close to what you said in your annual expenses for the business plan. If they appear to be way different, let's say that I was doing this and I typed everything in, it was thorough, it was thought out, and I only came up with $475,000 in total expenses, but my business plan's based on 600. And again, I thought 475. I should not go more than 475. That feels real to me. Then what I would do is I would go back to my economic model, and I'm going to click edit on the top right and edit my economic model. Instead of me saying I'm going to spend $50,000 a month in expenses, I'm going to change this to $43,000, or let's say $40,000. There you go, 480,000 in expenses. Click all the way through and save it and see how my economic model will change based on that new number. All right, we're diving deeper into the business planning here, and I want to do my lead gen model. So note that this says year 2024. This is all going to tie into your economic model, and I'll show you where. The first thing is a simple database calculator. So you're going to type in, what is the current size of your database? I have 800 people in my database. Over the last 12 months, I had 30 sales that came from database. So that means that 3.75% of my database converted into a sale. This year in 2024, maybe I want to have 60 sales that come from my database. Now that means that if I have 60 sales at the same 3.75 database conversion percentage, then that means I will need to have 1,600 people in my database. So again, if I had 1,600 people and 3.75% convert, that would get me to 60. But this year, darn it, I'm going to have better events. I'm going to be more intentional. I'm going to use my CRM. I'm going to send my texts and do my calls and do my Facebook messages. I'm committed this year. I want to double that. I want to get this to a 7% conversion ratio. If I hit 7% and need 60 sales, now I only need 857 people. So now it tells me I have 800 people today. I need 857. I only need to add 57 more people to my database as long as I convert at a 7%. So it's a good calculator to see what you need to have in your database. Now, down below, speaking of database conversion, how will you communicate with your database? This is a feature, guys, that not enough people take advantage of, and I trust that all of you will. All you do is you type in what is the touch point, what is the date, and who is going to receive this within your database. So as an example down below, we're going to email thank you letters for the Christmas party that they came to. We're sending that on January 4th. It's going to all past clients, and I have completed that task. Then we're going to do a monthly market update. And then over here, we're going to call them for our summer event invitational. And down here, we're thanking people for coming to a separate event that we came to. So you can put your entire database plan in here. It's automatically going to put it in chronological order. And as you go throughout the year, I simply can hit edit, and we completed that task. We sent out the birthday emails for March. That's a success. And now I'm on to the next task. So it's a really great way for you and your operations and your sales team to make sure that you're on the same page for what tasks have to get done within your database to hit that conversion ratio. The last part of the lead gen model is what will your top 5 lead sources be? Now, here's what we know from studying business plans is that most people, that 90% of their business comes from 5 lead sources or less. I'll say that again. 90% of your business will come from 5 lead sources or less. So what you're going to do is you're going to type in the source, how many sales you want to get in 2024 or whatever year you're doing this for, and add the source. So I typed in over here, I want 60 sales from database. So I put 60 sales from database, which is going to be 64.52% of my business. This is where it's pulling from your economic model. If I go to my economic model, my goal is 93 sales. Okay. So if I go back to my lead gen model, 60 sales is 64% of the 93. I'm going to do 18 expired, that's 19%, and so forth. So the goal here is to type in 5 lead sources or less and have the total percentage equal 90% or more of your economic model. If I type in my 5 lead sources and it only equals 70%, well, there's a big enough gap there that I don't know if I'm going to hit this goal. So the goal here is that 5 lead sources add up to 90% or more.